Okay. Good and post Psalm, as I have to tell you that looking at all of you, I think that that which phrase which was coined by the Siyam Hashas, heroes of the Daf. You are all heroes of the Daf. I mean, after a long fast, to come and sit and learn Torah, bravo to all of you. All of us want to wish Saba a refuah shalema. Saba has COVID. And even with COVID, he's here joining us. So Saba, we all wish you a refuah shalema b'seich shachar Yisrael. We are dedicated tonight, especially by Yitzi Muller, who's dedicating the shir on his wife's grandfather's yortzeit, Chaim Nachman ben David. His neshama should have an aliyah. It should be a melz yosher for his family, for all of us, and all of Klal Yisrael. We have sponsored our long journey through Bava Basra by A.B. Spry. A.B. sponsoring that he should have nachas from his entire family for many, 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 many years. By Baruchian, Lil Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba Esther Bas Gittel, Avram ben Shmuel HaKoyin, by Yaakov Yumansky with Akar Satov to the Rav and the Zoom family, nachas from children and grandchildren, Ed Salah from London, Joshua Rosenberg, Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas, Rabbi Yaakov Zeb and Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh, Mar Rivka Bas Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, Mar Sivya Miriam Bas Rav God, Rabbi Yosef ben Siyam and Rabbi Yaakov Zeb. Neshama should have an aliyah. We welcome in Aaron Swade, who is here with us, Mark Flankel, Baruchian, Yitzi Muller, Menachem Umansky, Stephen Holtzman. I'm glad to see that you're still not hanging upside down. Irving Fishbaum, Richard Leonard. Richard, were you there when I invoked your name with the counting of the Malachim? Oh, you weren't there. You weren't by Mincha Marav? Oh, wow. All right, but I invoked your name in vain. Don't worry. Ben Zion Cohn, Yitzi Fuchs, A.B. Spry, Berish Gesseman. Berish was there. Michael, Mel Zachter, and there he is, Michael Avram, holding the fort in the Agudas Yisrael. Great to have you, Michael Avram. And Saba, Yisrael Fisher, Eddie Chazan. David Helfgott has just joined us on Kol HaLashon, Rabbi Kranz, Dr. Block, Shalom Fogel, Avram Rezepkowitz, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Ilya Shutman, Abe Arbach. Look at all these heroes that are here. Unbelievable. Look at this. I have a full roster. Matzia and Jack Silverman is joining us. Full roster over here. Unbelievable. After Tanis, just unbelievable. Saba's joining us. Shashi says she hopes you feel better.
I look for too much COVID, so they give me a present COVID.
Yeah, listen, you should get better quickly.
I'll be more humble.
Yeah, you have to get better quickly. I see, it's interesting. I did quarantine for 5 days, but I see that the CDC, I was just reading it today, that the CDC actually lowered the amount of the quarantine to a day after fever. That's what the CDC is saying now.
I don't have no fever.
Yeah, so then it's a fake.
He prescribed the medicine. They won't get it first till Wednesday.
I hear. By that,
says, why don't you give him help? I'm going to argue with the pharmacist.
Yeah. Well, Lamaisa is you should be better by Wednesday.
You know what I'll do? Is a guy came, wife says, why don't you go to the pharmacy, the doctor check? Okay, I'll go. Doctor says, I have to write a prescription. Okay, I'll take it. But goes to the pharmacy. How much you owe you the pharmacy? $10. Goes outside, sits down on the bench, throws in the garbage. Comes someone's wife, ask him, what did he say? Prescribe me a prescription. What do you do? I threw in the garbage.
Okay. Yehuda from Yerushalayim is joining us, and we are holding like Inni, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Ches Amud Beis. Inni, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Ches Amud Beis. So let me just remind you of what happened over here. What happened over here is our infamous hoodlum, Eddie. Eddie was forcing Mark to sell a property. Wow, we just hit 30 Zoomers on a Motzi Tanis, on a Motzi Tisha B'Av. That's really, really something, Rabbi say. Really? Wow. Everybody is coming to hear Eddie's last antics. So again, Eddie is strong-arming Mark to sell a property. So Mark, knowing that Eddie is coming, Mark is a chacham, he's Rayas HaNoilad. It's a very big thing to be Rayas HaNoilad. So Mark gets Rabba Bar Bar Chana, and he tells Rabba Bar Bar Chana, quick, I'm writing a moidah. This is an advanced waiver that what I'm going to sell to Eddie, I really don't mean. And Rabba Bar Bar Chana signs the waiver. Then Eddie comes and holds a gun to Mark. So Mark sells a deed, signs a deed of, writes a deed of sale, and Rabba Bar Bar Chana signed that also. So the Gemara says that the waiver that Mark had Rabba Bar Bar Chana sign ahead of time successfully nullifies the sale that he was coerced to do to Eddie. That's what the Gemara says. So 2 lines from the bottom of Mem Ches Amud Beis. So the Gemara says, Inni, is that so? V'amar Rav Nachman, ha'edim she'amru amana hayu devareinu. Now this is interesting. Baruch Ian and Yitzi Muller signed testimony that Mark owes Abi $1,000. Then, afterwards, Baruch and Yitzi claim that really they didn't see Abi give Mark the $1,000. Just Mark, who was thinking of taking a loan from Abi, and he happened to find witnesses, gave Abi the promissory note on trust that if he would decide to take the loan, so Abi has the note. And he trusted Abi that Abi won't claim the money. And the Rashbam adds that it's not considered shtar muktam because Mark gives him a lien on his property from the date that he signs. But it was just what now first Yitzi and Baruch signed, that Mark owes the money. But now they're singing a different tune. And now they say, well, really, we didn't see Abi give him the money. It was just a shtar amona. It was given on trust. So that whenever he would take the money from Abi, Abi would have the promissory note ahead of time. And it's called the shtar amona, emuna, because Mark trusted that Abi won't collect the money. Now Abi tries to collect the money, so Baruch and Yitzi tell us this story. So the Gemara says they're not believed. That we only gave it on trust. Ein nemonim. Now here the Rashbam says two reasons why they're not believed. First of all, there's a law that you can't once you give testimony, you can't change your story. And Yitzi and Baruch are changing their story. And you can't do that. Secondly, a shtar amana is illegal. And why? Because we don't want to give a temptation to Abi to collect when there really wasn't a loan. And if they say that they signed the shtar amana, they're not believed because ain't other mesim atzmai Russia. You're not believed to incriminate yourself. If they claim that, we signed the shtar, but beforehand Mark told us he was being coerced. So again, ein nemonim. They're not believed. And the reason why they're not believed is because they can't change their story. So the Gemara says, that's hani mili al peh. That's only where they signed that Mark sold his property. And then afterwards they claimed that Mark told them beforehand that he was being coerced. They can't do that. Deloi osi al peh, an oral declaration cannot come umara l'shtara and ruin the document of sale. But in our case, with Ravacha, with Rabbi Babachana, Rabbi Babachana signed a document, a waiver that what Mark was being coerced before he signed the shtar that Mark sold the land to Eddie. So the other way around, the later shtar cannot impair the earlier shtar. Aval here, aval shtara, osi shtara, the shtar that he signed beforehand about the waiver is moral shtara. It taka nullifies the shtar that Mark is selling the land to Eddie. Now the Gemara analyzes the din of the shtar amona. Gufa, Amar Rav Nachman, amona hayu devareinu. If Yitzi and Baruch claim that they really didn't see Abi give Mark the money, and Mark only gave the promissory note on trust, ein nemonim. If they say, yes, we signed, but we're telling you that beforehand Mark told us that he was being coerced, ein nemonim. But Umar bar Vashi Amar, again, amana hayudvareinu, if they say that we signed it only on trust and we didn't see Abi give the money, ein nemonim. Because, as we said, to sign such a shtar amana is illegal. And therefore they're not believed to incriminate themselves, because ein other mesim atzmai Russia. But but if they say that Mark was being coerced, nemonim, they're believed. My time, what's the reason? Shezen itein likosev. Look, Eddie had a gun at Mark's head. So what should Yitzi and Baruch do? Not sign the shtar? They like Mark. They didn't want Eddie to blow him away. So they signed the shtar. And therefore, they're believed to say that beforehand Mark told us that he was being coerced. But v'zen lo nitein likosev. But a shtar amana is not allowed to be written. You're not allowed to give a promissory note on trust, because that's a big lifnei iver. and therefore it's illegal for Baruch and Yitzi to sign such a shtar, and therefore they're not believed that because they can't incriminate themselves. Ein Adam Mesim Atzma Rasha. And now we move on. And again, I really 30 people on a Matzah Tisha B'Av. This shows the determination of our group. And I have to tell you, as we're way beyond half of Shas, this is the way to march on to victory. A man doesn't have a chazaka if he occupies his wife's property for 3 years. Because of course we'll say that the reason why the wife wasn't moicha is because it was her husband. Now since the man has usufruct of his wife's property, so it would seem to be that it's a no-brainer. Pshita came in Islay Lepeira, since he has right to the fruits of his wife's property, Peiru de Ka'achel. So of course he can't have a chazaka. He's allowed to be there. Why should she be meicha? Says the Gemara, late tzricha de kasav law, he wrote to her, Dinu dvarim ein li b'nichsayich. I don't have a claim or words on your property. So therefore, if he said, I don't have a claim or words on your property, so that means he relinquished the rights to the fruits. So there, if we see him 3 years, it must be that he bought it from her. So the Gemara says, well, his declaration of Dinu Dvarim Ein Li B'Nichsayich is worthless. We said this once before, that if you have something, you can't remove yourself with simple siluk. Unless you're makneh to somebody, a statement that I'm removed is meaningless. V'chi kasav lo mai have. But Tanya, if a person says to his friend, Dinu dvarim ein li al sadazu, I have no claim or words on this field, ve'ein li asik ba, and I don't have any business with it, v'yadai misulekas mimena, and my hand is removed from it, lo yama klum. That's meaningless. You don't give up your property by just saying, I'm removed from it. Says the Gemara, no, he said it before it came into his possession. He said it when she was engaged. He wrote it to her while she was engaged, before he got it. He gets it when he marries her. And before he married her, he said, I'm removed from it, thereby saying I don't want it to come into my property. That you could do. Ukid Rav Kahana. The Amar Rav Kahana, for Rav Kahana says, something that's coming to a person from somewhere else, you could stipulate that you shouldn't inherit it. Their silik works. Silik doesn't work if you already own it. But something that is subsequently going to come to you, you could say, I'm removed from it and I'm not accepting it. Ukidirava. The Rama Rava Kala Omer I Afshi B'Takanas Chachamim Kigain Zais. If a person says, I don't want the Takan of the Chacham ahead of time, Shemim Lay. My Kigain Zais, like what? Kid Rav Huna Marav. The Amar Rav Huna Marav, Yechayli Isha Shetaymer Labala. A woman could say to her husband, now this woman is a brain surgeon. So she makes, on every surgery, she makes $60,000. She does 4 surgeries a week. She's making $250,000 every week. And her husband wants to give her, meals. And in lieu of that, he wants to get $250,000. So, I'm not going to take your sandwiches, and I'm not going to give you my $250,000. She could do that. And she could do that ahead of time. However, now the Gemara asks a different question. Haraya yesh. if the husband has a raya that he bought his wife's property, either the Rashbam says he has a shtar mechira, a document that she sold it to him, or he has witnesses that she sold it to him, then he has a claim on it. But why don't we say that she only did it in order to please her husband, that he shouldn't freak out? Really, she doesn't want to sell it to him. But to maintain the peace, she said it. Says the Gemara, Haraya Yesh, if there's a shtar mechira or witnesses that she sold it, it's good. But why don't we say, Tema nachas ruach asisi labali? I just did it to make my husband feel good. The Gemara says, we have such a svara. Miloi tanan. Now here we have the great speculator. Now I'm going to give you 3 guesses who that would be. And if you guessed it, somebody whose first name starts with an E, you're right. Eddie goes ahead and buys from Chatzkel his wife's land. Now, Eddie is not such a big speculator because right now he definitely gets stuff because Chatzkel has the right of usufruct. So Eddie is now buying the right of usufruct to use the fruits now. But then Chatzkel is married to Shpinza, his famous wife Shpinza. Eddie then goes over to Shpinza and says that if Chatzkel divorces you or he dies, I'm giving you this pittance that I should get the land, and you shouldn't get it for the ksuva. So, lokach min ha'ish v'chazav lokach min ha'isha. If he buys it from the husband and then buys it from the wife, mikchai batal. The sale is void. Why? Because we say she only didn't say anything because she doesn't want to get her husband angry. Alma amra nachas ruach hasisi labali. So hachanami, why don't we say that even if there's a shtar mechira or witnesses that she sold it, tema nachas ruach hasisi labali. So the Gemara says, yeah, but in the case over there, where Eddie buys it from the husband, and then buys it from the wife, where we say that the agreement that the wife gave was only not to get her husband upset, that was talking about only 3 special types of karka. Only 3 special types of karka. One that he wrote to her in the ksuva, promising that there would be a special lien on this land. So on this, the husband would be angry that she'd sell it. Or the achas sheyichid la b'ksuva. So even if he didn't write it in the ksuva, but in front of Adam, he designated it for the payment of her ksuva. Or the achas shechnisa la shum mishalah. Or land that she brought in with her dowry that he put in the evaluation in the ksuva, which is called nichtzei tzayin barzel. Only these 3 types of land we say that the husband would be upset if she goes ahead and sells it. So she only the only reason the husband would be upset if she doesn't agree to the sale, because once the husband took money from Eddie, he would be upset if she doesn't agree. So there we say by these 3 lands the mekach is batal. Why? Because these 3 lands we will assume that she wouldn't be maskim to, because they're so meshubah to her ksuva. She only said it in order not to upset her husband. But only by these 3 lands. But otherwise we don't say this svara that she agreed only in order to not upset her husband. So if she sold stamazai, a piece of land, to her husband with witnesses, or gave him a shtar mechira, that is proof that she really meant to sell it to him, and we don't say that she only did it to give her husband nachas ruach. Now, the Gemara will say, besides these three lands, what else is there? That's going to be the discussion for tomorrow. I think that the Rabbeinu Shalom made it that as we're all tired and it's late, he made that the daf shouldn't be that hard. So we're back to 8:35 tomorrow night. And I thank all of you for coming on so late in the night. We're going to do now the Mishnah Yomis.